and then it'll be
Will
better.
you trip or you enjoy it?
I think I'll be fine. So water is spilled. Shabbat Shalom. I'm happy to see all of you here. You have come on the longest Shabbat of the year, and we are going to light our candles and welcome Shabbat in. But the truth of the matter is that it probably really won't get dark out for another 2.5 hours or so. We're given the gift of extra light at this time of the year. And my hope is that with that extra light, we will be more light to one another and we will feel more of God's love during this time. Somehow, even when things can feel dark in our lives and in our hearts, we are given the gift right now of that extra life, of that extra light and that extra life that comes with it. And so I'll invite Abby to come up and to light the candles in honor of her dad for Father's Day. What was your father's name? Louis Shanbaum. Okay.
Shall I do it? Can I help? 130 for Psalm 95. 29, which is on page 137.
Adonai Oz, Le'amo Yitein Adonai, Yivarech et Amo. Adonai Oz, Le'amo Yitein Adonai, Yivarech et Amo. We're on page 138.
Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zihor b'diborecha, hishbianu el ha'meyechad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'lehila. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechuvanilcha, ki hi mikor habracha. Merosh bikedem nisucho, sof ba'azeh b'machshavat tchila. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Mikdosh melech yimalucha, u'mitziim michochecha plecha. Rav lo shevet biyemecha becha, v'hu yachamol alaychem la. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Bohi v'shalom ha'teret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzahara. Toch emunei am segula, bohi chala, bohi chala. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Page 142.
Shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, malachei elyon. Mimelech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch
Yaakov left Beersheba and set out for Haran, coming upon a certain place. He passed the night there, for the sun was setting. Taking one of the stones of the place, he made it his headrest as he lay down in that place. He dreamed, and lo, a ladder was set on the ground with its top reaching to heaven, and lo, angels of God going up and coming down on it. And lo, Adonai stood up above it and said, I, Adonai, am the God of your father, Abraham, and the God of Yitzchak. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and to your descendants. And your descendants shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. Through you and your descendants, all the families of the earth shall find blessing. And here I am with you. I watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this soil. I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. Waking up from his sleep, Yaakov said, truly, Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, how awe-inspiring is this place. This is none other than the house of God, and this Beit El, is the gate of heaven. We continue on page 144. Please rise.
Gadol v'yitkadosh shemi Rabbah. Amen. V'yolmad v'yirach yerulti v'yamlich malchuti b'chaychon u'v'yom echon ufchayei d'chol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'yibaru amen. Yehish mirabba mevorach le'olam ul'olmei olmaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yiboach v'yitromam v'yitnasi v'yitadar v'yitali v'yitalal shemi d'kudsha b'richu leila ben korbichata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damira me'alma v'yimaru amen. Baruch et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach, hamivorach le'olam va'ed. Hamivorach, hamivorach le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 148 as we welcome in Shabbat and open the gates. Umavil yom umehivi laila umavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Page 150.
אהבת אל תעזי ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל.
Please rise.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Page 158, Mi Chamocha.
Got to wait for me to cross the sea to get here. That's what I'm doing.
The middle seat?
That was across the middle sea. Now I'm here, and I'm at the other side of the sea, so here we go.
Mi
page 160.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkifeinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkifeinu, Lishalom. V'hamidenu, shomreinu l'chaim, ufrosleinu, sukat shlomecha. Hoshkifeinu, and understanding among us. Hoshkifeinu, be our shelter from life's storms. Hoshkifeinu, love and understanding among us. Hoshkifeinu, peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. And we continue on the bottom of page 162 with Yismechu. Yes, Please rise for our Amidah on page 164. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. We'll continue with our davening on page 172. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace on this day. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose on this day. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its purpose. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Retzerona Eloheinu b'Amcha Yisrael, Utfilatam be'ahava tikabel, Utihil ratzon tamid, Avodat Yisrael Amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Shetcha levatcha b'ranavot. Modim anachnu lach, Shetahu Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'imotenu, Leolam va'ed. Tzurchayenu magen yishenu, Atahu l'dor v'ador. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of our soul, for our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Ve'al kulam yitbarach yitramam shemcha malkeinu, תמיד לעולם ועד, וכל החיים יודו חסלה, ויעללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. And we are on page 178, Shalom Rav. If you'll turn with me to page 180, it's just the next page. Yihiu l'ratzon im chayfi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'go ali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. So this is Parshat Naso this week. We continue a census in the desert. So something that's interesting, if you don't know Hebrew well, you won't know this. But I'm going to tell you so that you can learn a little bit of Hebrew tonight. Bamidbar is our book that we're in now, the book of Numbers. And so the book of Numbers is because it's called that in English, because it's what? At the beginning, it is about what? A great census. But in Hebrew, it's called Bamidbar, in the wilderness, and it is our tale of our time in the wilderness. So that is what Bamidbar means. We are in the second parsha, second week of Bamidbar of that book. And the census continues, which means there were a lot of Jews. There were a lot of these newly freed slaves who were in the wilderness, and they were becoming a people. And why was there a census? Does anyone want to venture what the census would have been about? Fighting men. You are right, Stu Selby. Fighting men. From one fighting man to another. We know it when we see it, don't we? Yes. All right. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get back to the census and these fighting men in a second, but I'm going to tell you first a story. I have a friend who grew up in a Jewish home, and she had a baby naming ceremony, and she lit candles on Shabbos, and at school she would tell her class about Hanukkah. And when she was 13 years old, she had a bat mitzvah. And And when she was in high school, she was part of a Jewish youth group. And then when she went to university, before she went on her birthright trip. And it was at her birthright trip, her first time in Eretz Yisrael, that she was told without any hesitation by another kid on that trip, your father's a Jew, but your mother isn't. You know you're not actually Jewish, right? She told me that this was one of the most painful moments of her entire life. It was painful because no one had ever said that to her before. It was painful because she had grown up to believe that that was the most central part of her identity. It was painful because she was told that she didn't belong and that this trip wasn't for her, even though technically Israel will allow patrilineal children to go on birthright. This land was not hers. And it didn't matter that her father's family could be traced back to the Baal Shem Tov. She was not a Jew, and none of this was for her. And she was absolutely devastated. So our Torah portion this week, Parshat Naso, starts this way, with a continuation of a numbering of the Israelites, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, and a census of the people. And this is what it says. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, naso et rosh b'nei Gershon, gam hem levet avotam lemishpechotam. And that means God spoke to Moses saying, also take a census of Gershon's descendants by families, following the house of the father, the paternal, the patrilineal line. So what is happening with this census? As Stu said, fighting men. Numbers 1-3 concerned their preparations, and this would explain if it's about fighting men. I know I was in the military, but this is the 21st century here. That didn't happen actually until sometime in the 20th century, that it became pretty normal for modern militaries to accept women as part of them. So at this time, that would have not even probably been considered unless they were absolutely desperate. So that would explain why the wives, the women, and the children were not counted in the census, and males under 20 were not counted as well. So the census did not leave out women and young due to anything related to their social status, but it was just due to their military ineligibility. So for this time, in this place, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, as they're fighting, they're getting ready to fight. They haven't fought yet. Am Yisrael was counted. God told Moses to tell the people, to count the people by the male heads of the household. It was counted in this way for a purpose. So let's look at a modern view of counting Jews. Or say, I think a better way of saying it is taking account, A-C-C-O-U-N-T, account, of who is a Jew. On March 15th of 1983, the Committee on Patrilineal Descent of the Union for Reform Judaism wrote this. Both the biblical and the rabbinical traditions take for granted that ordinarily the paternal line is decisive in the tracing of descent within the Jewish people. The biblical genealogies in Genesis and elsewhere in the Bible attest to this point. And I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the service, I read that beautiful passage, God was in this place and I did not know it. And what does it say there? God tells Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, through you will be my people. Through you, through your generations. It doesn't say through your wives' generations. God is talking to Abraham and his descendants. In intertribal marriage in ancient Israel, paternal descent was decisive. I'm back to the URJ document here. Numbers 1:2 says, by their families, by their fathers' houses, and it goes on until even 2 weeks worth of these examples. Lamish pichotam levet avotam, which for the rabbis means the line, or literally the family of the father is recognized. The line of the mother is not. In the rabbinic tradition, this tradition remains in force. The offspring of a male Kohen who marries a Levite or Israelite is considered a Kohen, and the child of an Israelite who marries a Kohenite is an Israelite. Thus, Yichus, or lineage, regards the male line as absolutely dominant. This ruling is stated succinctly in Mishnah Kiddushin, that when Kiddushin, or marriage, is licit and no transgression in the line follows the father, furthermore, the most important parental responsibility of a man is to teach Torah to his children. When in the tradition the marriage was considered not to be licit, the child of that marriage followed the status of the mother. The decision of our ancestors, thus, to link the child inseparably to the mother, which makes the child of a Jewish mother Jewish, and the child of a non-Jewish mother non-Jewish, regardless of the father, was based upon the fact that when the woman with her child had no recourse but to return to her own people if she lost her husband. There's been a lot of research on this, and one of the foremost scholars to look into this issue of patrilineal descent, moving to matrilineal descent in Jewish tradition, is Rabbi Shea D. Cohen, professor of Hebrew literature and philosophy at Harvard University. He is an expert on the issues of Jewish patrilineal and matrilineal descent. Rabbi Cohen, in his research, found that matrilineal descent evolved from an original policy of patrilineal descent. The change to a policy of matrilineal descent came in late antiquity, sometime around the 1st century CE. So we have to ask the question. I've given you a little bit of background. I'm not going to keep reading to you from rabbinic documents such as this the whole time, I promise. But I've given you a little bit of background to understand that at one point we counted Jews by the father in the house. And then at some point we changed to counting Jews by who the mother was. And we have to ask the question, why would we begin to count Jews later on, post-Torah, post-temple periods by the mother? And Rabbi Cohen comes up with some possibilities. This is just 2 of them. He has a few. We seem to believe that there was a problem, and that was realized, that if the husband died, the woman would return to her family. And women back then did not have options and could not have been on their own without being under the ownership and the protection of a man. And so she would take the child with her, and this would protect the status of the Jewish child if she was returning to a Jewish family. But if she was not returning to a Jewish family, what would happen to the status of the child? So in other words, it became purposeful during late antiquity and even until today in some parts of the world for the status of the child to match its mother's status because she is the vulnerable member of the household. So if she found herself on her own and returning to her family, she was ensuring that a Jewish child was being kept in a Jewish family, and no one wanted to think that a woman was taking a Jewish child to a non-Jewish family. So they didn't want the line to be through the father in that case. A second reason that Rabbi Cohen states is that a lot of people also like to say, and I've heard this many times, that simply we know who the mother is, but we don't necessarily know who the father is. So whatever the reason, there is one thing clear here. In various times and places and communities, Jews were counted in different ways as it served the purpose of that time and that place and whatever their situation was. So in our time and our place here at Congregation Beth El, in the 21st century North American Jewish landscape, we have intermarriage rates in our communities, our progressive Jewish communities. Today, according to Pew Research data, over 70% of progressive Jews marrying today are marrying a non-Jew. 70% plus. I actually think I read 72% and I read 74%, and I think it's just going up, and so I'm not sure what data, so I said 70+%. And so we must ask in our times, is it purposeful to count only matrilineal Jews? Here at Congregation Beth El, we count patrilineal Jews. I'm not trying to make a case for you that we should change a policy. I want to make that very clear. But what I'm talking about today is how we talk to other Jews in our community about this, because this is very important. This summer, I'm going to be talking more and more to you about being a welcoming and inclusive community. And if we can't get this one right, I think that we're going to really have an uphill climb in making a case of being an inclusive community. If 70% of our young people are marrying non-Jews, what is going to happen in our community? I will urge also that you consider how this is hurting people. It is excluding people. It is telling them they don't belong. This is not their heritage. It is not theirs. We are not theirs. We must remember how in our tradition, the Jewish people have taken a census of ourselves. We have taken the census. And what does that mean for a free people to take a census of themselves? Who makes the rules? We do. No one is telling us we cannot count in ways that are purposeful for us. So today in our times, I would urge that it is purposeful to count all Jews in census, those born of Jewish mothers and those born of Jewish fathers. We have to talk and we have to be honest with ourselves about how this is hurting people and that it must stop. And that we at Beth El believe in this and we must stand up for this and defend it. We cannot apologize for welcoming people in this way. Because when we bring our Jewish family members out of harem, out of exile, we, the Jewish people, are liberating them and bringing them back home. And they have been put into that exile, that harem, by their own Jewish family, by their own Jewish people. It's absolutely unnecessary, and we can choose to do something different. As Reformed Jews, we believe that the conversation on this matter and the matter of inclusivity is always in motion, just like any other halakhic question. It's a conversation in motion, and it is our responsibility to keep it in motion so that we are responding to the issues of the day, living in purpose and making tikkun, or repair, with one another. Great courage this takes. Great courage to stand up for such a thing. Great courage for repairing such damage and for saying, you know what? You may have been hurt in this place, but no more. That will not happen anymore. And there is great, great reward when we bring those who have been hurt and exiled and cast away, their Jewish birthright robbed from them. And we look them in the eyes and we say, you are one of us. You belong here. You, child of a Jewish father, you are a Jew. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai varach, et amo v'shalom. We'll continue our service. I will tell you the page in 1 second. With our Yizkor service, and Tracey will sing Eli, Eli for us, and then I will ask you right now, the next thing is Psalm 23, and that is on page 576, so you can turn to that right now. Thank you, Tracey. Let's turn to page 576, and before we begin, I want to fix our Yortzeit candle if possible. Can you come and do that for me, Tracey? It's just, I think it's burning, but not very well. I think the wax is, yeah, okay, got it. All right, so we lit a Yortzeit candle. Normally, we light the 7 candles, but tonight, because this Yizkor service is included in our Shabbat service, and that service with the 7 candles is usually about an hour long, I did not want to add an extra hour to our regular service, so I'm doing a more traditional Yizkor service, but I hope that it is just as meaningful to everyone here. We're on page 576, and I'll ask you to read with me in English. A psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I lack nothing. God makes me lie down in green pastures. God leads me to water in places of repose. God renews my life. God guides me in right paths as befits God's name. Though I walk through the valley of deepest darkness, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread a table for me in full view of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My drink is abundant. Only goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai for many long years. On page 575, there is a reading called Birth is a Beginning. And I'm wondering if anyone would be willing to read that for us. All right, there you go.
Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding. From fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey from birth to death to life everlasting. Amen.
Stu. You can keep the microphone for now, and then there's one more reading. Not necessarily for you. Someone else can read it. All right. We are on page 577. Please join me with the familiar tune. Lie, 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 lie. Esaenai el hecharim me'ayin me'ayin yavo esri. Esaenai el hecharim me'ayin me'ayin yavo esri. Esri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Esri me'im Adonai oseh hashamayim va'aretz. Read with me in English at the bottom. I turn my eyes to the heavens. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. And the next reading is page 579. And Sheila, since you're right next to Stu, and Stu has the mic, would you be willing to read that on page 579?
I'd be honored. Each person has a name. We each have a name given by God and given by our father and mother. We each have a name given by our stature and smile and given by our attire. We each have a name given by the hills and given by the walls. We each have a name given by the stars and given by our friends. We each have a name given by our sins and given by our yearnings. We each have a name given by our enemies and given by love. We each have a name given by celebrations and given by our work. We each have a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. We each have a name given by the sea and given by our death.
Thank you. All right. 578.
Adonai,
Recent deaths in our community for the week of June 14th, 2024. Menachem Radulesco Ovadia, Arthur B. Weingarten, and Sam Zaltz. Yortzites for this week on our calendar are Sonia Kurganska, Irina Lutvek's mother, Irving Lando, cousin of Lanny Jaffe, Paul Lisansky, husband of Bobby Lisansky, Morris Malowitz, Mike Malowitz's father, Rosalie Chaffetz, Selma's, and I said that right, Chaffetz, right? Is that correct? Okay. Rosalie Chaffetz, that's Selma's daughter, and Rachel Miller, mother of Peter Miller, Charles Silverman, father of Maureen Rubin, grandfather of Leslie Rubin. Additionally, those we have lost in the past year to remember at Yizkor are Phyllis Armeland, Norma Fink, Marlene Gold, Alan Gumprich, Renata Romesher Klein, Bobby Kopstein, Levi Lando, James Oladell Shabola, Michael Shreve, Irving Shooter, Janice Spinner, Betty Strasberg, Arthur B. Weingarten, Roy Whitewood, Samuel Zaltz, Andy Zuckerman, Menachem Rodolesco Ovadia, our Kaddish is on page 598. Please rise. Before we say Kaddish, I usually ask, have I missed anyone who we should be remembering tonight? Yes, Lanny. All right, thank you. Okay. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olamei amaya, yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei tekutsha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, de'amiram be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May their memories be for a blessing, and every single person in this room, who is holding someone for Yizkor in their hearts. Whether they were on our list or not, we just reserve our list out loud for the people who are in the recent past. But we know that you're holding people in your hearts and your minds, and that they are always with you. And I'm very glad that all of you are here so that we can make their memory forever a blessing. Zikronam livracha. You should please stay standing and turn back to page 582 for El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Amsem Nuchan Echonah, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedushim Utorim, Kizor, Harakia, Masirim, Lenishmat Yekireinu, Shehalchu Leolamam, Baal Harachamim, Yastireim Beseter, Kinafav Leolamim, V'yitzror b'yitzror ha'chaim et nishmatam Adonai hu nachalatam v'yanuchahu b'shalom al mishkavam v'nomar Amen. We conclude our Yizkor service on page 583. Let's read this together. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. You may be seated. We turn to page 371 for our Mishaberach prayer. And Michael, were you planning to have Tracey sing the Mishaberach? Or okay. All right, so I'll read the list, and then Tracey will lead you in that prayer. Good health wishes for the week of June 14th, 14 Sivan, 5784, Tony Lee, Hannah Levin, Cindy Jarris, Valerie Horner, Ronna Paquette, Jackie Farrell, Miriam Schneer, Avraham Leib, Louise Ziff, Richard McGinty, Morton Kaplan, Bonnie Levine, John Farrell, Lindsay Martin, Tamara Fishman, Martin Jean, Rabbi Jeffrey Ableser, Igor Kurgansky, Kevin Killip, Clara Lobach, Maya Klaz, Susan Tuck Sweetman, Emmett McDonald, Glenn and Melanie Dunn, Sora Margolis Malecki, Sharon Schneer, Rebecca Chapus, Ginny Symbolist, Evgenia Dabidok, Dina Fay, Ari Ben Sarah, Linda Stewart, Sandy Malowitz. She's not here tonight. So Sandy will continue to remember in prayer for healing. And is there anyone else who we should be thinking of tonight? Yes, David. Toda. All right. All right. We also have special prayers for safekeeping for all in Israel. Iris Caver Berliner and family, Michael Orley, Yuval, and Noam Kessler, and all of the soldiers, hostages, and those who have been released. And for those still in captivity, we don't have this on there, but who need healing and are not getting medical attention. Please keep them in your prayers. Page 371. On page 377 with our prayer for Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim Su Yisrael V'Go'alo Barak et Medinat Yisrael Reshit Smichat Geulatenu Hagein Aleha Bevrat Chazdecha Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha Ushlach Orcha Ba'amitcha L'Rasheha Sareha Ve'yo'atzeha V'taknem Be'atzat Tova Mil Fanecha ונתת שלום בארץ ושמחת עולם ליושביה ונאמר, Amen. Please turn to page 586 and rise. יתגדל וירשם רבה, בעלמא דברה כרותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחייכו בית ישראל, בגלל בזמן קריב אמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מהמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתבר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה, בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונקמתה, דמירם בעלמא ואמרו, אמן. תתקבל צלותהן ובטחון כל ישראל, קודם אבהון ושמיה ואמרו, אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגאר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ובמושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות. כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו. כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please remain standing. We will say Kaddish one more time for those who we're remembering tonight and this week and recent Shloshim, but we will not say their names again. We will simply just say Kaddish for them. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, v'alma divrah kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaychon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dekol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam olamei amaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei tekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Zikronam livracha. You may be seated. And I just have some closing words, some announcements for our community. Saturday, June 15th, which is tomorrow, in the chapel, I will say it once more, my favorite program in the shul is tomorrow morning, and that is our Torah study. I just love studying Torah with people in the community. And it's a lot of fun, and we learn a lot about one another. And it's really, really a beautiful time. So if you'd like to join us, anyone is free to come. You don't need to register. There's plenty of cookies, and sometimes we'll have Timbits, and there's coffee, and there is tea, and it's from 10 to 11:30 in the morning tomorrow. So please join us if you would like. It's a lot of fun. Friday, June 21st, that is next Friday, we have a lay-led Shabbat service on Zoom only. Harvey, do you know who's leading? Audrey is leading, but she's not here tonight. So she's resting up, getting her koach for that. She's writing her Devar Torah tonight. Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what's happening. All right, so don't miss it. And it is really wonderful to support our lay leadership. They put a lot of thought and energy and time into these services. So if you can attend, it would be appreciated. And then Friday, June 28th, we have a special service. It will start at 6:30 and not at 7. Here in the sanctuary, I have a friend who is an Israeli musician and songwriter and artist and rabbinic student, and he will be coming. His name is Yoel Sykes, and he will be sharing our service with us that night and leading us in some music. And he is really, really good at teaching music and getting people to sing. And so I have high hopes for this community, that you are going to just learn a lot and really worship with him and daven with him, and it'll be really great. So please don't miss that. If you're in town Friday, June 28th, please come to that. And then actually the next night, on the 29th, we have a house concert at the home of Jory Rosenberg and Lawrence Paisner, and it's free, and they will have wine and cheese and fruit, and Yoel will be doing a concert, and it should be a wonderful time at their house, 7 p.m. on the 29th. What? Of course, yes.
I will announce this because I haven't been at the theater for over a year, but I went to see the production that's opened tonight this week with my son James, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's sad. It's called The Trench, and it's about the First World War. It's all in verse with a musical accompaniment, and it's absolutely heartbreakingly beautiful. There's puppetry in it, and it's gorgeous. So if you get a chance to see it, I really recommend it.
Thank you, Tracey. And it would also be really nice if you supported Tracey, because this is her theater, and she's.
I wouldn't. It was very beautiful.
Yes.
I felt very proud of it, and I had nothing to do with it, but I felt proud that.
But
it
it's
was
at
in
her
this space.
theater. It's at Tracey's theater.
The dates. So it's on tonight. Tomorrow there's a matinee, I believe, and then I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday next. I think it's on for 3 weekends actually.
All right, so we have come to the very, very end of our service. This is it. Yes, Mike Malowitz, though, has. I'm trying to get you out of here, Mike, but here, let me bring a mic to my. Well, give me 1 sec, because I want the people on the live stream and Zoom to hear you. So here you go. You don't have to talk really loud into this.
After 9 months of planning, starting Monday night through Thursday, we have the Windsor Jewish Film Festival at the Capitol Theater. 10 outstanding films that have been very carefully selected, and we hope to see you all there for anywhere between 1 to 10.
It opens on Monday.
Starting Monday night at 7, then they run 2:30, 5:30, and 8 o'clock. Tuesday through Thursday. So. No, at the Capitol.
A new location.
New location. Plenty of restaurants and good stuff around there. There is some parking at Park in Victoria. There's a lot next to Hikari. So hope to see you all there. Had to put the plug in.
No, I'm sorry it wasn't on the list. That's you know why it wasn't on the list, because Sarah and I are putting the list together because Mary hasn't been to work in a while, and she was so good at these lists. So it's good to give her a little bit of kavod, because we have struggled a little bit. We've missed you, and I'm glad to see you, Mary. The bracha for Father's Day, avot ve'imahot. I don't know. It's like Baruch Adonai. We did that in the Amidah. It was the avot. They get a whole bracha at the beginning of, yes. All right, let's go ahead, and we'll be on page 625 for Adon Olam.
Thank you.
Shalom, please join us for Oneg in the social hall and the Kiddush. And we will have challah and wine. It will be great.